Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife and really all of these knives. And this is the first of the re-release by Traditional Pocket Knives, or C. Reisner Cutlery, of the Indian Head brand. And so this knife is made by Great Eastern Cutlery. It's their Engineer pattern, which was a new pattern here for 2024 on their number 32 frame. And it is what you might call a swell center equal end, a swell center whittler. I've seen it kind of referred to as a half whittler, and I think it can also be called a balloon whittler. Now, I am not as familiar with whittler knives in general or swell center knives because it's just not something that I focus on. And in fact, this is the only one that I got from this run of knives. It's the only number 32 that I picked up. Just not really a pattern that I am particularly interested in, but I had heard from Austin that he was working on having an SFO made by Great Eastern Cutlery under this Indian Head brand that his grandfather spearheaded for a while. And I was really looking forward to that. And when I saw that, it was coming out on this pattern, I knew I was going to end up with one of these number 32s because I really like that Austin has such a passion for traditional pocket knives and his story of how he got into them with his grandfather bringing him to shows. And I think it's a great thing what he's doing here by bringing this trademark back into use, and by, really the best of the traditional pocket knife manufacturers, Great Eastern Cutlery. So I was really excited to get one of these. I bought one from Austin here at Traditional Pocket Knives as soon as they were dropping. And there were two different versions of this. So this is the acrylic. They called it a red pearl acrylic. And there was also a camel bone. And I think bone is typically more sought after than acrylic, but the reason I went for the acrylic is because I was aware, and Austin kind of confirmed, that the vintage Indian Head knives were often in acrylics, and you can even see some red acrylics over here that I'll show you more of later. So I just went with it to kind of go with the history of the brand. And speaking of the history of the brand, Austin put a great write-up on the tube here, which you can pause the video and read. But basically, Buck Creek was a brand of knives that were made in Germany for a Burns and Company. And in 1974, starting in 1968. And then in 1974, they started using this Indian Head trademark along with some others. And so Clarence Reisner, who is Austin of Traditional Pocket Knives' grandfather, who started C. Reisner Cutlery, became friends with Millard Burns, who was the owner or runner of this Burns & Co., and eventually purchased the Indian Head brand in 1986. And between 1986 and 1990, made knives under the brand and sold them. And the most common pattern was a 3-blade large stockman, which you can see 2 of here. But they did others also, which you can see there is a Congress in each of these handle materials that I'm going to show you. But they also leased out to Smoky Mountain Knife Works and Blue Ridge Knives. But it was a brand that Clarence Reisner of C. Reisner Cutlery, really was behind for a while. And so I know it meant a lot to Austin to bring this brand back into use. He actually had kind of kept the brand itself alive by making some stickers with this, kind of mark here. And so I thought that was really cool. I think it's one of those things, the more you can keep these traditional brands alive and, here in the USA and everything, I think the better. So anyway, I want to show you this knife and then show you some of these vintage knives that Austin was kind enough to loan me. So as I mentioned, this is a swell center. So you can see there's these 2 bumps here on each side, and it's an equal end. So 2 equal sized rounded ends. It is a single spring, but a 2-bladed knife. So you've got a clip point, real classic GEC style clip point here with a nice cut swedge. And I really like this etch. I think that this is a really nicely done etch with the C. Reisner cutlery. And then the two Indian head etches, or stamps actually, not etches but stamps, right here. So you can see, you know, two Native Americans in headdresses, and then you can see C. Reisner cutlery on the back of this blade. And then for the secondary, there is a nice sized pen blade. And I haven't used this knife, I haven't carried this knife. Honestly, this is one that I'm just going to appreciate. Again, kind of as a memento of a friend, Austin. You know, I have enjoyed getting to know and knowing Austin through our shared love of traditional knives over the years. And so, you know, I'm probably not going to carry and use this one, but I will definitely enjoy it. But you have this nice sized pen blade with the pattern number 321224, and then carbon steel. So as with almost all GECs at this point, it is carbon steel. You can probably hear and see it's got great snap. This is actually really nicely done. And there's no proud tip, so this clip point tip sits well within the frame, and the pen blade also does. You know, it's close to proud, as they kind of always are on these secondary pen blades for GEC, but it's not, and sometimes they are fully proud. So nicely done there, nicely fit. Like I said, it's a single spring knife, and you can see that there's room between the blades, so really well done. You can see that the grinds are not even side to side, which you know, helps them fit in the frame. No gaps anywhere, really, just super nicely done on the back spring and from the covers to the bolsters, and with this shield. And this shield is pinned, so that's something I asked Austin, and he confirmed, and you can see it in here, is that this shield is pinned, which is really cool because you know, some of GEC's pins, or some of GEC's excuse me, some shields that GEC has used, particularly on SFOs like the Allegheny Mountain Knife Collectors Association club knives, and the, what's the other ones? Buffalo, well, it has a buffalo on it. Anyway, that are textured like this, they sometimes don't pin them. And so I was really happy to see that this was pinned. So I think it's a really cool knife overall, and I think that it's a great, you know, reintroduction of this brand. So I want to show you some of these. This is a Congress. So it's a classic Congress. You can see Indian head, made in Germany, and that stamp here. So it's not exactly the same, but really similar. Got two sheepfoot blades, and then the coping, and a pen blade. And these are nice. These are nicely made knives. You know, it's interesting, excuse me, with these vintage knives to see them. I mean, I know that these are knives that mean a lot to Austin because, you know, they're ones that his grandfather ordered and sold. But this is the large Stockman. It's got a nice strong pull on the sheepfoot. Got a classic spay blade. And you can see this is more similar to the stamp that's on the GEC Indian head. And then finally, again, Indian head, made in Germany. Try to close these reasonably. And I'll show you also the same two patterns, and this is a pearl acrylic. So it's kind of as if you took these two, the pearl, you know, kind of the shimmer that you get in this with the color of this, and put them together, and you get this. So it's kind of cool. Like I say, that's why I went with this acrylic. But you can see, really, I like the look of this. And it's kind of the same pattern. Now, as you can see, these were made by Karl Schlepper in Germany. whereas again, this is made by GEC in Pennsylvania, USA. And one thing that I'm not sure of, I intended to ask Austin and didn't get a chance to, I've actually been way behind on making videos, way behind, is why the 1902? That doesn't seem, from the information on traditionalpocketknives.com about the brand and the write-up on the back of the tube, to give a reason for the 1902. But that's something, if you know, I'd love to hear in the comments, and I'm sure Austin will tell me at some point, but I haven't gotten a chance to ask yet. So I wanted to make this video and get it out there, but I'm not sure why the 1902. But anyway, a beautiful knife, again, one that I'm really happy to have. I'm really happy to see Austin be able to bring this to the market, and I'm really looking forward to what other patterns are made in this Indian Head brand. So as usual, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. Go to my website, check out my blog and everything, and subscribe to the email newsletter there. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.